Hi, we are from Group 4. Today our group will present abiotic resources that have been selected by us, which is water. So first of all, I'm gonna state what is Sustainable Development Goal, which stands for SDG. As we know, there are 17 goals which are laid out to achieve better and sustainable world by 2023. It also an expanded version of 8 Millennium Development Goal, which guided the global action to reduce extreme poverty from 2000 to 2015. As we can see here, there are 17 goals of SDG. Now, I will pass to Laura, one of our members, to present one of the goals that related to our abiotic resources, which is water.
As we can see here, the first Sustainable Development Goal related to water is goal number 6, which is clean water and sanitation. This goal is to ensure availability and sustainable management of all water and sanitation for all. There are 8 targets under this goal number 6. First, safer drinking for all, sanitation for all, better water quality, more efficient water use, integrated water management, healthier ecosystem, international cooperation, and lastly, more local participation. Are water and climate change linked? Yes. Water availability is becoming less predictable in many places. In some regions, drought is exacerbating water scarcity and thereby negatively impacting people's health and productivity, also threatening sustainable development and biodiversity worldwide. A critical climate change mitigation strategy for years to come is important to ensure everyone has access to sustainable water and sanitation service. This is because millions of people will continue to die each year from water-related diseases like malaria and diarrhea. Also, biodiversity and ecosystem resilience will become to decline. Understanding property and effort toward more sustainable future are important. Lastly, what can we do to make sure these goals are achieved? First, civil society organizations should work to keep government accountable invest in water research. Next, increasing human and ecological system sustainability and integrity by raising knowledge of this role and implementing it. The third one is get involved in World Day and World Toilet Day campaign that aim to provide information and inspiration to take action on hygiene issues.
The next Sustainable Development Goal is SDG 14, which is Life Below Water. The objective of SDG 14 are to reduce marine pollution and effect of ocean acidification, to end overfishing, to protect and ensure sustainable use of ocean, and to conserve marine coastal area and the ecosystem. So, you must be wondering why SDG 14 is very important. According to United Nations (UN), rainwater, drinking water, weather, climate, coastline, food, and even oxygen that we breathe in every day are ultimately provided and regulated by the sea. Do you guys know that the acidity of the ocean has increased by 26% since the pre-industrial times, and it is expected to rapidly increase by 100 to 150% by year 2100. Unfortunately, when COVID-19 pandemic attacked the whole nation in 2019, it has caused drastic reduction in human activity, and this has given the chance to ocean to recover a little bit. Natasha from University of Gajah Mada stated that COVID-19 pandemic has harmed humans' life, but in the other hand, it has brought a positive impact to the nature, including the ocean.
As water bodies are considered a country's natural resources, it is important for us to have legislations governing them to ensure they are not abused and misused. The policy I will be explaining today is the Waters Act 1920. Be noted that this act only applies for water sources in the states of Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, Perak, Penang, and also Malacca. This act's only objective is to provide protection for rivers or any other water sources that fall in the states said before. In the many sections of this legislation, there are several sections explaining the prohibitions of usage of water bodies and the penalties if one violates them. There are many technical terms in this act, but we will only be looking into one section that many people violate on the daily. And that section is Section 7A, which explains the prohibitions of water pollution. No person except those with specified license are allowed to discharge these things into our water bodies. If one fails to comply, their license might either be refused, be revoked, or have their terms and conditions altered accordingly. Violators may appeal their license to an appeal board consisting of the Menteri Besar, State Legal Advisor, State Directors of Lands and Mines, State Director of Medical and Health, State Director of Drainage and Irrigation, and 2 members that are appointed by state authority. Also, it's necessary for all the members in the appeal board to be in office for the appeal to be considered, and no compensation will be provided for the licensee once their license is revoked. And lastly, after the revocation of their license, they will need to pay a fine amounting to 1,000 ringgit. Explained just now were just one of the many sections in the Waters Act 1920 governing our rivers and water bodies. It is also a guide to water resource management that could help retain the quality of water, thus help us sustain the quality of life.
The next policy is Water Services Industry Act. Water Services Industry Act were introduced to implement the restructuring of the national water supply and services industry with the long-term goal of improving efficiency in Peninsular Malaysia and Federal Territory of Labuan. Water Services Industry Act was effective on 1st January 2008. The objective of this act are to promote policy objective for water supply services and sewerage industry. Next, to establish a licensing and regulatory framework, to establish the power and function of this policy, and lastly, to establish power and procedures for the administration of this act. This act promotes sustainable management by making comparison between licensed water operators and service providers to compete and identify the industry best practices. Next, it monitors the collecting baseline data to be submitted periodically and cross-comparison between all licensees. Investment plans also important for the maintenance and improvement of existing water assets in order to have sustainable needs. Lastly, water forums such as making recommendation and feedback to Water Commission on matters concerning the interest of consumer of water and sewerage services.